In 2021, a woman in Texas received a Facebook message from a stranger. The message said, "I think someone is pretending to be you online. I've been dating her for 6 months." She laughed it off at first. A scam, a joke, some kind of mistake. But the stranger sent screenshots, messages, photos, voice recordings. All of them were her. Her face, her voice, her life. But she hadn't sent any of them. Someone had built an entire relationship using her identity. And they'd been doing it for years. We all know what catfishing is. Someone creates a fake profile, uses stolen photos, pretends to be someone they're not. We think we'd spot it immediately. We think we're too smart to fall for it. But the truth is, the best catfish don't just fool their victims. They become them. They study their targets for months, sometimes years, learning every detail, every habit, every secret. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. In this video, I'm going to share 3 disturbing true stories about catfishing that go far beyond fake dating profiles. The first involves a woman who discovered someone had been living her life online, building relationships, making friends, all while wearing her face. The second is about a teenager who realized that every single one of his online friends was the same person. But stay until the end, because the final story involves a man who reconnected with his high school sweetheart online, only to discover she'd been dead for 11 years. These are 3 disturbing true catfish horror stories. Story number 1, the double life. The woman who sent me this story asked me to call her Jenna. She's 34 years old, works as a dental hygienist in Houston, and describes herself as a pretty private person. She doesn't post much on social media, maybe a few photos a year, birthday wishes for friends, the occasional vacation picture. Nothing out of the ordinary. She never thought twice about it. Social media was just background noise in her life. Until March of 2021, when a stranger named Michael sent her a message that changed everything. The message was simple. It said, "This is going to sound crazy, but I think someone is using your photos to catfish people. I've been talking to a woman who looks exactly like you for almost 8 months. Is this you?" Jenna's first reaction was confusion. She got the occasional spam message, the random friend request from a fake account with no photos. But this felt different. This guy seemed genuine, concerned even. She wrote back asking what he meant. Michael explained that he'd met a woman on a dating app back in July of the previous year. Her name was Megan, she was 32, and she lived in Dallas. They'd hit it off immediately. Similar interests, similar sense of humor. They'd been talking every day for 8 months. Video calls, phone calls, everything. But recently, Michael had started getting suspicious. Small inconsistencies. Stories that didn't quite add up. He'd done a reverse image search on one of her photos, and he found Jenna's Facebook profile. Jenna felt a chill run down her spine. She asked Michael to send her everything. The photos, the conversations, whatever he had. What she received made her sick to her stomach. There were photos of her she'd posted years ago. Some from her Instagram, some from Facebook. A few she'd forgotten she'd even taken. But there were also photos she'd never posted publicly. A picture from her sister's baby shower that had only been shared in a private family group. A selfie she'd sent to her mom through text message. Whoever was doing this didn't just have access to her public social media. They had access to her private life. But here's where it got worse. Michael wasn't the only one. Over the next few days, 3 more people reached out to Jenna after she made a public post warning that someone was using her photos. A man named David who'd been talking to Megan for a year. A woman named Carla who thought Megan was her long-distance best friend. Another man who'd sent Megan over $2,000 to help with a fake medical emergency. All of them had been talking to the same person. All of them thought they knew Jenna, except they knew her as Megan. The catfish had created relationships, friendships, entire emotional bonds using Jenna's face, Jenna's voice, Jenna's life. Jenna started digging. She went through her social media, her email, her cloud storage. She changed every password, enabled every security feature. She reported the fake accounts, dozens of them across multiple platforms. But the Catfish was always one step ahead. Every time an account got taken down, a new one popped up. Same photos, same name, same life. Then Jenna found something that made her blood run cold. One of the victims, Carla, had shared screenshots of video calls she'd had with Megan. Face-to-face video calls where they'd talked for hours. But Jenna had never made those calls. She'd never even heard of Carla before this week. She watched the recordings Carla sent, and there she was, her face, her expressions, her voice, having conversations she'd never had, in places she'd never been, wearing clothes she'd never owned. The Catfish wasn't just using her photos anymore. They were using deepfake technology to become her. Jenna went to the police. They took her statement, filed a report, told her there wasn't much they could do. The Catfish was using VPNs, burner phones, anonymous accounts. They were untraceable, but Jenna refused to give up. She hired a private investigator who specialized in online fraud. It took 3 months, but they finally found a lead. The investigator traced one of the fake accounts to an IP address in Jenna's own city. Not Dallas, where Megan claimed to live, Houston, where Jenna actually lived. They narrowed it down further. The same coffee shop kept appearing in the login data. A place called the Daily Grind, about 4 miles from Jenna's apartment. Jenna knew that coffee shop. She went there every Sunday morning. The Catfish wasn't just using her photos. They were watching her, in person, learning her habits, her routines, her life. That's how they had photos that were never posted. That's how they knew details only someone close to her would know. The investigator set up surveillance at the coffee shop. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then, on a random Tuesday afternoon, they spotted someone logging into one of the fake accounts from a laptop in the corner. It was a woman, mid-20s, brown hair, average height, someone Jenna had never seen before. The investigator confronted her. She panicked, slammed her laptop shut, and ran. By the time they could react, she was gone. But she'd left something behind. A notebook tucked into the seat cushion that she dropped in her rush to escape. Inside were pages of notes. Jenna's schedule, her coffee order, the names of her friends, her sister's address, the kind of car she drove, screenshots of her private messages, somehow accessed and printed out. Whoever this woman was, she'd been studying Jenna for at least 2 years. They never found her. The police investigated, but without a name or a clear photo, there was nothing to go on. The fake accounts eventually stopped appearing. The victims moved on. The case went cold. But Jenna knows she's still out there. The woman in the coffee shop. The person who stole her face and lived her life for years. She still goes to that coffee shop every Sunday. She refuses to let this person take that from her too. But now she pays attention. She notices who's watching, who's sitting alone with a laptop, who looks away a little too quickly when she walks by. She told me, the scariest part isn't that she pretended to be me. It's that she's probably still watching, still collecting. Maybe she's moved on to someone else, or maybe she's just waiting. But I know she's out there, and I know she knows me better than most people in my actual life. Jenna paused, then said, "How do you protect yourself from someone who's already inside your life? Who knows your face, your voice, your secrets? You can't run from yourself." And that's exactly who she became. Jenna still lives in Houston. Same apartment, same job, same routine. But she never posts photos anymore. She never accepts friend requests from strangers. And every time she sees her own face online, she has to wonder, is that really her? Or is it someone else? Jenna's story is terrifying because the catfish didn't just steal her photos. They stole her identity, her relationships, her entire sense of self. And she still doesn't know who they really were. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you ever found a fake account using your photos? Or discovered someone online wasn't who they claimed to be? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experience might help someone else avoid the same fate. Now, the next story takes catfishing in a different direction. Because this time, the catfish didn't create one fake person. They created an entire community. This is the group. Story number 2. The group. The person who sent me this story is a 19-year-old college student. He asked me to call him Ethan. When this happened, he was 16, a junior in high school, and going through one of the hardest years of his life. His parents had just gotten divorced. His friends at school had started drifting away. He felt isolated, invisible, like nobody understood what he was going through. That's when he found the Discord server. It was a gaming community focused on a multiplayer game he'd been playing obsessively. The server had about 200 members, but there was a smaller private channel for regulars who'd been verified by the moderators. Ethan applied, got accepted, and suddenly had access to a tight-knit group of about 15 people who seemed to actually care about him. There was Alex, the server admin who was always cracking jokes. Maya, a college student who gave great advice. Derek, who was around Ethan's age and going through similar family stuff. Lily, who was shy but always checked in on people. And about 10 others who floated in and out of conversations. For the first time in months, Ethan felt like he belonged. They talked every day, not just about the game, but about life. Ethan opened up about his parents' divorce, his struggles at school, his anxiety, his fears. The group was supportive, understanding, always there when he needed them. He considered these people his best friends, better friends than anyone he knew in real life. This went on for almost a year. Then Ethan started noticing things. It started small. Alex made a typo in a message, writing definitely instead of definitely. It caught Ethan's eye because Maya had made the exact same typo the day before. Unusual spelling, same mistake, 2 different people. He shrugged it off. Coincidence. A few days later, Derek mentioned a movie he just watched, gave a detailed review, talked about his favorite scenes. 2 hours later, Lily mentioned the same movie, used almost the exact same phrases, highlighted the exact same scenes. Ethan felt a weird tingle at the back of his mind, but he told himself he was being paranoid. People recommend movies to each other. Of course, they'd have similar opinions, but he couldn't shake the feeling. He started paying closer attention to the conversations, looking for patterns. And once he started looking, he couldn't stop seeing them. Alex and Maya were never online at the same time, ever. In a year of conversations, not once had they both been active together. Same with Derek and Lily. Same with several other members. The typing patterns were similar. The response times were similar. Little phrases kept repeating across different users. That's rough, buddy. I feel you on that. Sending good vibes. Ethan felt sick. He didn't want to believe what he was thinking, but he had to know for sure. He set a trap. He sent a private message to Alex with a made-up story. He said he just found out his grandmother was in the hospital, that he was really scared, that he didn't know what to do. He made up specific details, a hospital name, a diagnosis, things he'd never told anyone else. Alex responded with sympathy and support, exactly what Ethan expected. Then, an hour later, Ethan posted in the main channel that he was feeling down but didn't say why. He waited to see who would respond. Maya messaged him privately. She said, "Hey, I heard about your grandmother. I'm so sorry. Which hospital is she at again? I want to send flowers." Ethan had never told Maya about his grandmother. He'd only told Alex, in a private message. His hands were shaking. He stared at the screen, trying to process what this meant. There was only one explanation. Alex and Maya were the same person. He started testing others, telling one person something private, seeing if another person mysteriously knew about it. Every single time, the information leaked. Every single time, someone who shouldn't have known knew. All 15 members of the private channel. All of them. They were all the same person. For almost a year, Ethan had been pouring his heart out to what he thought was a community of friends. But it was one person. One person pretending to be 15 different people, creating an entire support system, an entire friend group, just for him. But why? Ethan confronted Alex directly, laid out everything he'd discovered, asked who they really were and what they wanted. The response came after a long pause. "I just wanted to help you. You seemed so lonely. I wanted to be everything you needed." That was it. No explanation, no apology, just that chilling sentence. Then every account went offline. Every single one. The entire server was deleted within the hour. A year of conversations, a year of friendships, a year of his life, gone. Ethan tried to trace who was behind it. He reached out to other members of the larger server, the ones who weren't part of the private channel. Some of them had interacted with Alex and the others, but nobody knew anything. The accounts had been created with fake emails, VPNs, no real identifying information. One person had built an entire world for Ethan to live in. They'd studied him, learned what he needed, and become it. Not one friend, but 15. An entire support system designed specifically for him. And the worst part? Ethan still doesn't know why. Were they lonely too, and this was their way of connecting? Were they a predator, grooming him for something that never happened? Were they just bored, treating his life like some kind of psychological experiment? He'll never know. Ethan told me the thing that messes with me the most is that I still miss them, even knowing they weren't real. I miss Alex's jokes. I miss Maya's advice. I miss Derek understanding what I was going through. Those people felt real to me. They helped me survive the worst year of my life. He paused. But they never existed. I was alone the whole time. And somehow, that makes me feel even more alone now. Ethan is in college now. He has real friends. People he's met in person. People he can verify are who they say they are. He's doing better. He's okay. But he doesn't use Discord anymore. He doesn't join online communities. He doesn't trust group chats where he can't see everyone's face. Because he knows the truth now. On the internet, you can never really be sure how many people you're talking to, or if you're talking to anyone real at all. Ethan's story raises a question that I can't stop thinking about. If someone gives you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, does it matter if they're real? I don't know the answer, but I do know that story deserves to be heard. If this video resonated with you, consider hitting that like button. It helps more than you know, and it tells me you want more stories like this. Now, our final story is the one I warned you about at the beginning, because this time, a catfish wasn't pretending to be a stranger. They were pretending to be someone who'd been dead for over a decade. This is the Reconnection. Story number 3, the Reconnection. The man who sent me this story asked me to call him Marcus. He's 43 years old, lives in Ohio, and works as an electrician. He's been married for 12 years, has 2 kids, and describes himself as a pretty average guy living a pretty average life. But in 2019, something happened that he still can't explain. It started with a friend request on Facebook. The name was Rachel Thornton. The profile picture was a woman with red hair and a bright smile. Marcus recognized her immediately. Rachel had been his high school girlfriend. They dated for 2 years, junior and senior year. First love, first heartbreak, the whole thing. They'd broken up when they went to different colleges, lost touch over the years, and Marcus hadn't thought about her in a long time. But seeing her face brought back a flood of memories. He accepted the request without hesitation. Rachel messaged him almost immediately. "Marcus, oh my God, I can't believe I found you. How are you? It's been forever." They started talking, catching up on 20+ years. She told him she'd moved to California after college, worked in marketing, never got married, but had a good life. She asked about his family, his job, his life. It felt good to reconnect, nostalgic, harmless. They talked every few days at first, then every day, then multiple times a day. Nothing inappropriate, just two old friends remembering the past and sharing the present. Marcus told his wife about it. She thought it was sweet. Old high school flames reconnecting on Facebook. It happens all the time. But after about 2 months, Marcus started noticing things that felt off. Rachel's memories of high school were vivid and accurate, but sometimes the details were slightly wrong. She mentioned a teacher they'd both had, but got his name wrong. She referenced a party they'd gone to together, but placed it at the wrong house. Small things. Easy to dismiss as faulty memory after 2 decades. But then she made a bigger mistake. She asked Marcus if he still played guitar. She said she remembered him playing at a talent show their senior year. Marcus had never played guitar. He'd been in the marching band, trumpet. He'd never touched a guitar in his life. He mentioned this to Rachel. She laughed it off, said she must be mixing up memories. Happens after so many years. But Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He decided to do some digging. He searched for Rachel Thornton on Google, trying to find any trace of her life after high school. What he found made his heart stop. Rachel Thornton had died on March 15, 2008. Car accident in California, just 2 years after graduating college. There was an obituary, a memorial page, photos from her funeral posted by her family. She'd been dead for 11 years. But Marcus had been talking to her for 2 months. She told him about her life, her job, her apartment in San Diego. She'd sent him recent photos, selfies that looked current. None of it made sense. Marcus went back to the Facebook profile. He looked at it more carefully now. The account had been created just a few months before she'd messaged him. The photos were there, but when he reverse image searched them, some came from Rachel's old MySpace page, archived on the Wayback Machine. Others came from the memorial page her family had created. Someone had built this profile using a dead woman's photos. Someone had researched Rachel's life, learned enough about her history with Marcus to sound convincing. Someone had been pretending to be his dead ex-girlfriend for 2 months. Marcus felt like he was going to be sick. He didn't confront the account directly. Instead, he took screenshots of everything and started trying to figure out who was behind it. He reached out to Rachel's family through the memorial page. Her mother was still active online, posting occasional memories of her daughter. Marcus sent her a message explaining what had happened. Rachel's mother was devastated. She'd had no idea someone was using her daughter's identity, but she gave Marcus some information that made everything more disturbing. This wasn't the first time. Over the past decade, Rachel's family had discovered multiple fake accounts using her photos. Some of them had been used for romance scams, extracting money from men who thought they were in a relationship with a beautiful woman. Others had been used for catfishing, just like what happened to Marcus. But this account was different. This one knew things about Rachel's past. Real things, accurate things. The Catfish had done their research. They knew about Marcus and Rachel's relationship. They knew about their breakup. They knew too much. Marcus started to suspect the Catfish might be someone who actually knew Rachel. Someone from their high school, maybe. Someone who'd known about their relationship, who had access to old memories and inside information. He went through his old yearbooks, his old photos, trying to think of anyone who might have had a reason to do this. That's when he found something that made his blood run cold. In his senior yearbook, there was a photo from prom. Marcus and Rachel smiling at the camera, arms around each other. And standing just behind them, slightly out of focus but visible, was another girl. Her name was Danielle Marsh. She'd been in their friend group, always on the periphery. Quiet, a little awkward. Marcus remembered she'd had a crush on him back then, but he'd never reciprocated. He looked her up on Facebook. Her profile was sparse, just a few public posts, but she was still in Ohio, still in the same town. And in one of her recent posts, she'd used a phrase that Marcus recognized, a specific turn of phrase that Rachel had used in one of their conversations. It wasn't proof. It was barely circumstantial. But Marcus knew. He knew it was her. He didn't confront Danielle. He didn't go to the police. He just blocked the fake Rachel account, locked down his own social media, and tried to move on. But a few weeks later, he saw Danielle at a local grocery store. She was standing in the checkout line, just a few people ahead of him. She turned around, saw him, and smiled. Not a friendly smile, not a surprised smile, a knowing smile, like she'd been expecting to see him, like she knew exactly who he was and what he'd discovered. She didn't say anything. She just turned back around, paid for her groceries, and left. Marcus hasn't seen her since. The fake Rachel account was deleted. No new ones have appeared. The whole thing just stopped. But Marcus still lives in that town, still shops at that grocery store, still sees the same faces every day, including, occasionally, Danielle. She never acknowledges him, never waves, never says hello. But sometimes, when he catches her eye across a parking lot or a restaurant, she has that same smile, that knowing smile. Marcus told me, the thing that keeps me up at night isn't that she pretended to be Rachel. It's that she wanted me to know. She wanted me to figure it out. She wanted me to see her at that grocery store and understand that she'd been inside my life, inside my memories, for 2 months. He paused, and I still don't know why. Was it about me? Was it about Rachel? Was it some twisted game I still don't understand? He shook his head. She lives 3 miles from my house. I see her maybe once a month, and every time I wonder if she started again, if there's another account out there, another dead girl whose face she's wearing. Marcus still lives in Ohio. He never moved, never ran. He refuses to give her that satisfaction. But he doesn't use Facebook anymore. He doesn't accept friend requests from anyone, not even people he recognizes, because he learned something that most people never have to face. The dead can't reach out to you online, but someone pretending to be them can. Three stories, 3 people, 3 encounters with someone who wasn't who they claimed to be. Jenna, who discovered a stranger had been living as her online for years, building relationships, deceiving people, all while watching her from a nearby coffee shop. Ethan, who poured his heart out to 15 friends who turned out to be one person, running an elaborate psychological experiment on a lonely teenager. And Marcus, who reconnected with his high school sweetheart, only to discover she'd been dead for 11 years, and someone in his own town had been wearing her face. Catfishing isn't just about fake dating profiles and romance scams. It's about trust. It's about identity. It's about the terrifying realization that the person on the other end of the screen might not exist at all. We share so much of ourselves online. Our faces, our stories, our vulnerabilities. We trust that the people we're talking to are real, that our friends are who they say they are, that our connections are genuine. But sometimes they're not. So the next time you accept a friend request from someone you haven't seen in years, think twice. The next time you join an online community that seems too perfect, pay attention. And the next time someone from your past reaches out after a decade of silence, do your research. Because on the internet, anyone can be anyone. And some people are very, very good at being someone else. If you have a catfishing story or any experience with someone who wasn't who they claimed to be, email me at the address in the description. I read every single one. Your story could be featured in the next video. And if you made it this far, do me a favor. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who trusts too easily online. A family member who doesn't know the dangers. This stuff is real, and the more people who know about it, the safer we all are. Until then, stay safe, stay skeptical, and always verify who you're really talking to. This has been 3 disturbing true catfish horror stories. Sleep tight. And remember, not everyone online is who they claim to be.